Far out guys, it's been quite a year. We're only a few months in and I've actually had this video in the works since August 2021 when I won the Young Accountant of the Year award. But better late than never. I've shared quite a lot of my personal experiences as a business owner, especially the challenging ones. So I thought I would share how I've come and show you how dedication, commitment can give you the chance to create something that is truly your own and that you can be proud of. And winning Young Accountant of the Year was one of those extremely rewarding experiences for me. It's still a surreal feeling, to be honest. A great friend and business mentor of mine always says to me, Davie, you have to celebrate your wins. Business is a long journey, so give yourself a break to enjoy those wins. It's what makes it worth it. And so sharing this with you all is a way for me to reflect and celebrate just how far I've come. So just to give you an idea of what a big deal this is to me, the Australian Accounting Awards are basically the Oscars for the Aussie accountants. It's one of the biggest events of the year for us. I won one of the biggest awards presented that night, the Young Accountant of the Year. And man, you guys don't understand how much it means to me. And you know, my parents really pushed this idea of going to uni. And at first, I didn't quite understand why it was such a big deal. But as I got older, I realized they never had that chance to get a good education and unfortunately spent their entire lives at a disadvantage. No matter how hard they worked or how committed they were, not knowing how to speak English really impacted their life and their ability to live a normal life. Second generation immigrants like me will just never understand that because our parents' primary focus was to make sure that no matter what, we were educated and not disadvantaged like them. And too many of us take this for granted. Unfortunately, for my parents, being uneducated wasn't the only struggle they had to face. They had a ton of health issues, which really limited their ability to work and bring in a stable income. And even though I was a kid, I wanted to do everything in my power to make sure my family was supported. So that's where the idea of being an accountant came in. Luckily, I was able to secure a cadetship at a mid-sized accounting firm straight out of high school. Look, it was a minimum wage, but 12 bucks an hour at 17 years old, I genuinely thought I was rolling in dollar bills. But I was humbled very quickly when I realized that $25,000 a year could barely support mum and dad. I stayed at that accounting firm for over a year and then moved to a small boutique firm because I wanted to work with smaller businesses. And I just felt like I had a better chance to grow there. This is where I started to learn and develop my skills as a proper accountant. Here is also where I realized the importance of surrounding yourself with mentors who can shape your career. I was lucky enough to find great mentors who not only guided me, but also helped me develop my technical expertise, taught me how to manage people and how to improve my communication skills and my quality of work. To me, the most important thing I gained from my mentor was to dream freaking big. And I mean big. My partner was an amazing guy. He's still blowing the socks off the accounting industry and has achieved so much throughout his career. And he taught me to always keep my eye on the prize and aim high. There is obviously a lot to consider when you're establishing your career, but having a great mentor that can open your potential to achieving greatness is probably the most important thing to consider. Well, at least for me, this was the single most important thing I could have done to get where I am right now. Besides that, I worked super hard to climb through the ranks and absorb as much as possible. My goal was to be irreplaceable in the business. I did everything in my power to make sure that I was the most dependable accountant in the office and that my managers had to rely heavily on me. I took every job that was given to me. I even volunteered to do the jobs that no one in the office wanted to do at all. And you'll be surprised how much I learned taking on all the boring jobs. I learned how to enjoy the beauty of problem solving, finding better ways to do things, being efficient, dealing with difficult clients, or even managers. I treated every task as an obstacle and would figure out better ways to do it. I took on as much feedback as I could and made sure I improved the next time I did it. A lot of veteran accountants refer to this as doing your time, but let me tell you, it wasn't easy. I think it's important for people to understand here that you need to be patient, especially in the accounting industry. The accounting industry is very structured and super regulated, and there is a shit ton of us all trying to be stellar accountants. I don't necessarily agree with all the processes in the accounting industry, and I try my hardest to break the status quo, but there are just certain things you have to wrap your head around and deal with. At the end of the day, these processes are there for a reason. And while it may take a lot of groundwork to become very successful in your career, that's true for any career. But the thing with accounting is that it's incredibly stable. I've never been without a job. So if you can dig your way through the tunnel and build your experience, you can be highly sought after in the accounting industry. Anyway, so in the beginning of the stages of my career, I really didn't make much money at all, which meant I needed to hustle for a little bit. So I started quite a few side businesses to make extra money. They weren't necessarily million-dollar ideas, but they helped supplement my income for a little while. It was also a very good learning curve for me as well. Not all of my side hustles were successful, and they taught me a lot about what it meant to run a business. At the same time, I managed to work my way up the rank. I finished my studies at uni, I finished my studies for CA. Once I was a registered chartered accountant, my wallet became a little chunkier. I was able to support my family and start up a bit of a savings. I was in a pretty comfortable position, but that's when I had to make a decision. Continue to do public accounting, or go into commercial accounting, or take the leap and become my own boss and probably start a business. I pondered on this for quite a few years. It wasn't an overnight decision. At this point, I was about 7 years into my accounting career, and I was pretty burnt out, to be honest. My company that I was working for was merging with another, and I just felt like I was constantly fighting an uphill battle in this. But unfortunately, that is the name of the game with a lot of accounting firms, because there is a massive amount of competition for accountants. So I made a huge decision to make a break from public accounting and push for change. I went into commercial accounting, and it was a great job, but I only lasted 6 months. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't fulfilling, and I didn't feel like I was achieving any of my goals. I also just worked really long hours that was really tiring for me. It was at this point I realized that I was ready to venture off on my own, which was pretty scary because I had no idea where to start. I also realized though that I really had nothing to lose. Even if it didn't work out, I could go back to public accounting and figure the rest out. Luckily, I had a handful of clients, probably about 5, who really supported me stepping out on my own. So I took the leap with $20,000 in my bank account and an office in my brother's old room and about $40,000 in fees. I still remember shaking my first client's hand in that room and then issuing that invoice to him. It felt pretty freaking amazing. But let me tell you, it was really hard work. I did everything on my own: admin, marketing, invoicing, and tax, and reporting. It was pretty scary. I had imposter syndrome literally every single week. But you know what? I also had a ton of fun. And within 12 months, I easily replaced my 6-digit salary. Once I was more stable, I realized that I was super passionate about changing the way accountants think and do things differently. We were doing things by the book, and that book felt like it was written hundreds of years ago. And quite frankly, clients weren't interested in reading that book anymore. It was outdated. So I changed it all up. I offered small businesses a fixed fee service that guaranteed personable services and ongoing support per month. I kept things simple, but constantly found new ways to think outside the box for our clients, which meant no more bloody timesheets for employees. I had 5 main goals in my 5-year business plan. Build $1 million business, build a strong brand, build a solid team with solid processes, educate others, and get recognized as an expert in my field. And 5 years down the track, I can finally say I've hit all those goals now that I've won that Young Accountant of the Year award. I've been finally recognized as an expert in the accounting industry. Yeah, or maybe. Maybe. And while I worked really hard to get to this point, I can't thank you all enough for supporting my business. My clients, my employees, my followers, people who just watch my videos, and my family. It's one thing to own a business, but it's another to own one with as much support as I've received. I've been given the opportunity to learn a lot over the years, and so I wanted to share that with you. Firstly, my first tip is to understand exactly what your 3 to 5 year plan is. Always give yourself options to avoid getting stuck on one path. Things in business are constantly changing, and you need to be able to adapt. Second, find great mentors and hang out with people who will challenge your way of thinking. They need to inspire you to do great stuff. I'm not saying you need to stop hanging around with your high school friends. Just make some time to connect with new ones and work with the right people. Third, be patient. It takes time to develop your skills and experience and build a great career or business. If you grow too quick, you can also fall very quick. So take the time to build the right foundations in your business or career. Fourth, look after your mental health. I think this is often put on the back seat. Don't neglect this. You can't build on your success if you can't even take care of yourself. And lastly, enjoy the journey. Of course, it's rewarding to celebrate the wins, but for me, it's even more rewarding to look back at how much you've overcome to get here. So, that's been my journey this far. Let's see what other goals I can smash out in the coming years. Can't wait to share it to you guys. See you next time.